Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. The markets video is out. I cover the 150-year Fed tariff study showing tariffs are not inflationary. Over in that video, I broke it down on X as well. Give me a follow there at Market Canary. And this video is brought to you by SimpleFX. Guys, if you want to trade any of these cryptos, any of the commodities, Forex, equities globally, if you live outside the USA, check out SimpleFX. They are a fantastic exchange. We have a Trade League tournament going on right now called Trade League 2025. You can register right through the app. Very simple to get verified. You'll love the exchange. Check them out. And of course, consider jumping over to our Discord or join right here on YouTube with the join button. Get our members only videos and access to our Discord if you wish to partake. Great group of people over there in the Discord. Some of them have been there since we started the Discord back in summer of 2021. So it's a lot of fun. Let's talk about the markets. Guys, I think Bitcoin could be bottoming this week. I'll show you why on the next chart. This chart is the Bitcoin cycle chart. Notice these red boxes. I keep getting asked questions about this on X and in the YouTube comments. This isn't moving the goalpost. The actual indicator is the RMA crossing the previous cycle high. So when the RMA back in 2021 crossed 19,666, which I denote there with a beach ball, the cycle top was in within 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, this happened as well back in 2017. RMA crossed the previous cycle high. The cycle top was in within 4 to 5 weeks. Right now, the RMA is at 64K. It has to cross 69K. What I'm doing here by moving this red box out, I put it out to the end of January right now. I'm looking at the angle of the RMA, trying to figure out where this would cross the next cycle high. Again, 69K. It has to cross 69K. Then you'll have an early warning of 4 to 5 weeks before the cycle top is in. It has always triggered before the cycle top is in. If it doesn't trigger correctly this time, it will be the first time since 2013. So as you guys know watching this channel, I tend to believe things that have always been the same until they are no longer the same. So Bitcoin, there's a lot of people asking me, how long can Bitcoin go up? Does it have to go up 50,000 points in December? No, this can run out into January. You had a major top last January, or this January, in January 2025, and then you sold off 30%. There's no law here saying it has to top by a specific time. What we have is an indicator that's able to track historically going back to 2021, 2017, all the way back to 2013, showing you that Bitcoin has always done this after the indicator has triggered. You get a 4 to 5 week warning for a cycle top, and we're still 5,000 points away. And as Bitcoin stays suppressed, it takes longer and longer for this thing to cross 69K. Okay, so that's how that indicator works. So we could be looking at a January time frame here. Now, this is what I want to show you. Why do I think Bitcoin could be bottoming this week? Well, a couple of key reasons, but this main reason here on this uptrend since 2022. I showed you these similarities before. 33% wave moved down, 32% wave moved down. Right now, what are we at? Let's just measure this real quick. We are at, I think, what, just 26, maybe? 26.26. Talk about some symmetry. So you got 26.26. But the key thing here is the time, okay? First wave down. This took 21 weekly bars. Second wave down, 11 weekly bars from peak to trough. Guess where we are right now? You've basically cut this in half, right, by the second correction. Where we are right now on this week's candle is 6 weekly bars, which would be cutting in half, just over half, cutting this in half essentially of the previous correction, just like you did on this correction. There's some other reasons I think this could be the bottom this week here in Bitcoin, and we'll go over the levels that it could be at the bottom at. But we have NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday. We have the job numbers on Thursday. We have the next lunar cycle pivot as well on the 20th, okay? The 20th is going to be huge, and we'll cover the lunar cycle chart because Bitcoin has put the last three pivots, 20% move and 2 9% moves based off the lunar cycle pivot, including the day of the all-time high, and Bitcoin's been in a downtrend, hence I'm expecting a rally, okay? So this week is pivotal here. I think we have a lot of data coming out, the jobs data coming out. Talked about that in the market video. And again, you have this pattern of contracting here for the time frame for these retracements. Now, what's interesting here, if we take a fib from this last retracement up to your all-time high, notice we're at this 618, right? 94K. 94K. Now that's a 25, 26% retracement like we just discussed. Let's take these off. Let's throw the 72, 786 on here. Look at the symmetry in the market, right? If you're more bearish on Bitcoin, you're like, yeah, that's cool, Brendan, but I'm loading up on shorts. If you're more bearish, what were the two previous retracements? 33.5% and 32%. Notice what Bitcoin would be doing if it lost its support at some point this week and went down to the 786. It would do a 32% retracement, identical retracements to the previous two. And people say, well, then would you be bearish? Well, was I bearish here? No. Was I bearish here? No. There's more to go in the cycle. It did the exact same retracement the previous two times. So that means you could come down to 85K. Now, if the markets, along with Bitcoin, fall apart and break down, I covered that in the markets video, go back and watch that, then I will flip bearish if we break key market structure, come back up for a retest that fails, then I'll be looking to short. But Bitcoin itself falling to 89K or 85K, no, it doesn't flip me bearish because the cycle still has length to go. The early warning indicator has not triggered, and we have bullish markets and a massive bullish uptrend, and I think that's going to continue. Remember, the most bullish period in the markets is November to April, right? Basically, November till the spring equinox, which is the end of March. Most bullish period in markets. I think Bitcoin is going to run up after it's done basing, and I think it's going to be done basing this week. Now, let's go forward. Lunar cycle pivots. Why is this important? I kind of gave the ghost away here. Exact all-time high to the day of the full moon. 19.5% decline. Look at the last two pivots, just taking the actual pivot candle on the run up. 9,000 point run up from that last cycle pivot or the previous cycle pivot. And of course, this is the one that I traded. This cycle pivot, 8.66%, 8,500 point run up. And look, we're once again are down. So again, the way that it works is when you're looking at an extreme and you're at a support level and you have a lunar event coming right here, Thursday, November 20th, with the jobs numbers. If the jobs numbers are weak, market's going to price in future cuts or the December cut specifically. And I think that's going to turn the market bullish. Okay. So you're coming right into that. The question is, can you hold this 94K? Can you hold it, or are you slipping down to 89 or 85K to give you an equidistant, a symmetrical retracement as the prior two retracements? Well, let's look at totals, see if we can get any hints here. Totals at 3.16 trillion. The key level to hold here is 3.06 trillion, which you're not quite at. Could you slip to this? You could. Could you wick below just like you did right there? You could, okay? But you could also just start coming up. So again, it's like an in-between zone space, but you want to hold above essentially $3 trillion because total is all the money in crypto, and you can see how accurately it's hitting these fibs on the way down, showing you the layout, the verification of support. You had 3.82 hit multiple times, 50% hit multiple times, and now you're between 50% and 618. So it's an in-between zone. If we look at Bitcoin on the 8-hour chart, here's that fib layout, the macro fib layout, but you're on an 8-hour chart, and you can see what you're doing with the candles. I don't have a pattern here, guys. You're just bouncing, ping-ponging off of 94K. 94,235 here on Bitunix is the actual level of Bitcoin, or the actual fib level, I should say. And you have a wick down that you threw down there, and you rally back up, and you wick down again. I think you're in volatility until we get up to this pivot. Watch the 20th. Watch the jobs. That's the next lunar cycle pivot. I'm expecting a bottom. The question is, if you lose 93K, can you come down to these lower levels, right? 88.9, let's just call it 89K, and of course 85.5. That's your next two levels, and this is totally possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this isn't possible. Why? Because the last two corrections, Bitcoin came all the way down here. It did a 32% correction, flushed everybody out before it went back up again, right? So that's totally possible. So what I would suggest is just watching the price action, right? That's what you got to do. When you look at this on an 8-hour time frame, you're oversold on the Canary RSI. You're trying to base on volume. You're trying to flatten out on momentum. But I mean, it's a bearish downtrend, right? It is a bearish downtrend bouncing off support, trying to hold support. Now, typically in 2025, Monday and Wednesday have been the two strongest bullish days. Tuesday is also bullish, but less so. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, your bullish days. Thursday, Friday have a bias for bearish days. So let's see if this holds up, because Thursday is that big data release. Thursday's a lunar pivot. So we'll see how this holds up. If we get one more flush for a bottom, and this is the 20th right here, this white line. If we get one more flush for a final bottom, 89 or 85K, or if we're starting to move up, right? Because again, I think Bitcoin's getting to 140, 150K before we have a very large correction in the markets and in cryptos, okay? So that's what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin. We look at Ethereum, largest altcoin, same thing. You got the 50%, your macro level at 3169. Right now you're at 3136. You were above it this morning. You can see, I mean, again, look how the fibs lay out, right? Look how accurate the fibs are. Get below it, buying demand. You got all the way up, try to do a Livermore pivot, failed, came back, back tested it, did a down thrust, little flush out, and now you're just going up and down. It's a 3-hour chart. There's not a pattern here. You're just going sideways, right? Everything's in pause mode waiting for this data, but there are catalysts coming to this market that's going to drive the market higher or lower. And I believe if it is initially lower, it's going to go right back up to higher because of the bullish seasonality in the year and because the cycle's not done, right? And the market structure's intact in the markets. So we'll see what the data brings. We'll see what we get on the jobs. We'll see how bullish it is. But overall, if Ethereum loses 3,000, just keep this number in your head. If it loses 3,000, just like if Bitcoin loses 94, it's going to 89 or 85. If Ethereum loses 3,000 because of how accurately these fibs have tracked on the way down, 2750 is that next level. I mean, I would love to see it get to 2750 and hold support there because that would be epic. Why? Because my Ethereum target's 5,500, 6,000. That's why. So that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. But right now, small time frame, 3-hour. You have a defined trading range of 3,000. You have resistance up here at 3,750, and you're doing this on a very small time frame, right? If you're adventurous, you may be buying here. If you're bearish, you may be shorting here, looking for that move, right? So it's pick your poison, but you're going to see the pivot this week. I believe the low is going to be put in the market this week, whether it's caused by an initial sell-off from data that the market doesn't like, or whether it's just to start rallying up because the market loves the data. So I think you're going to see that this week, guys. Really critical week here for cryptos. Look on a 3-hour time frame. You're trying to climb bullish here, volume based on the 3-hour. Let's just knock this thing out and look at the daily. Daily's your gold standard. Way oversold on Ethereum. Volume obviously has been selling off. I mean, obviously it's in a downtrend. Momentum's in a downtrend. Oversold, trying to bounce. And again, when you look at it on the daily, you're talking about 3-4 candles, right? So what's your pattern right here? You're trying to hold 3,000. That actual fractal's 3,055. You're getting resistance right at the 50%. Next level down is 2,750. Just watch and see what happens, right? Watch and see what happens because overall, guys, I believe there's a lot left to this cycle. I know a lot of you do too, right? I know a lot of people are super bearish. I know there's some bullish people out there now as well telling you, hey, you're going to get to this level, whatever. I'm just telling you this step by step, how I see this playing out because this week is so critical. And if we get the bottom, on the 20th with the jobs data, with the lunar cycle pivot, I think you're seeing everything move up and you'll see it in the markets as well. That's why it's good to have an eye on each market, see what's happening. You look at Zcash. I mean, Zcash has just obviously been wonderful to be in. If you're looking for, could this little rolling top here roll back down for retracement again? I want to show you where that would be. If you take your fib, go to your daily here on the 12th of November, pull it up to that high off to the right. You got 618, 581, 543, and you got a lot of support right there at that base, right around that 500, 510 range. You got a lot of support. Zcash has been very volatile, mostly volatile to the upside, obviously. You do have an M top right here, right? It's how smaller patterns can become larger patterns. You had an M top right here that broke down to support of this candle cluster right here. And then you had it come back up. So now you have a larger M top. So ultimately, if you get a retracement, you want to see it base and break out to the upside. Take out that 750 level, 744 level on Zcash to go up to the next level. And if we just want to pull a fib for upside targets from where you could go, right? Where you could go on Zcash. Let's pull a fib here. Got to put the targets up here. If we look at this at the 200%, 1618, see what we got here. 942 and 1064. So $1,000 does not seem unreasonable if the rest of the crypto bases and starts running up as well. So watch Zcash. You get a breakout, you want to take a breakout above 744. Overall, you want to see the markets lift, you want to see crypto lift. But before you lift, you got to bottom, right? We got to make sure we got bottoms. You look at Solana, it's been beaten up. Solana breaking down, forming its sideways trading range here. You can see your Wyckoff range. We covered this in the last video as well. Broke down, came back up, retested the range, right? Then sold back off, and now it's at the 72% level of 139. Beneath that's the 786, right? 786 off of your April lows. That's an important level to hold. That's 129. That means you've basically retraced 80% of the rally. So you want to see Solana hold up here. It's 141 as I'm recording. You want to see it hold above 129. It's important. It's not that it can't recover, but it affects your expansion areas you can get to the upside, right? So let's find a bottom in Solana, 139, 129, see if that holds up. What else we got on here? MSTR. MSTR, I wanted to show you this because obviously it's a proxy for Bitcoin, right? And it's at the 786 retracement off this key fractal low, right? So it's at the 786, which is 196. You're at $200 here. Market just opened a couple minutes ago. You're at $200 here. You have a giant M top, right? You have a giant M top that broke down below your neckline right there, which is basically 220, 230, 235, something like that. The next key level is 175, right? So if this breaks down more, watch 175. You're at 200. If it breaks down more, obviously Bitcoin could be breaking down more if that was the case because they're a proxy. But when you look at that, just look at this from a 175 level. See if you can hold 196, essentially $200. Overall, there's a lot of beta in MSTR, but before you can talk about how high can MSTR go, you have to look at your resistance. And your resistance is simple. You just grab it from the all-time high, pull it down to your current low, which may not be the final low, and then look at the 382, 327, 368, just to get back up to the 618 is a doubling in the stock at 409. So lots of upside potential if MSTR continues to act as a proxy for Bitcoin and have beta if Bitcoin bottoms and starts to rally. So you can watch MSTR. Bitminer, which is the Tom Lee proxy here, ETH Treasury. Key level to hold here is 3030. You want to hold that 3030 level, and you're at $34. You can see you're in a spiraling trend, testing near the lows. You need to get above 43 to get some momentum. Ultimately, you want to get above 43 and then start breaking out. I think Bitminer, again, if Ethereum gets to my targets, 5,500, 6,000, I think you can easily get back up to the 50%, 618. That's a $100 level, splitting the difference between 95 and 111. So I think you can easily get to 100, which is a tripling in the stock. So it's something to watch. Crypto's beat up, crypto's bleeding out, but that's why you got a lot of the crypto stocks down near the lows. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow me on X. Hope to see you in the Discord, and talk to you guys on the next one.